Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Israel Brief, your first port of call for the latest headlines from Israel and surrounds, proudly brought to you by Lay of the Land. I'm Raylene Marks, your host, bringing you those top stories every Monday to Thursday, and you guys know what to do in this very, very difficult climate. Help share Israel's side of the story by getting our content out to the masses. You can do this by sharing our Facebook page at Lotl site, like us and follow us, share our content, or subscribing to our YouTube channel at the Israel Brief, and you'll be notified every time we post an update. And we would love it if you share it. So let's take a look at those top stories. And this morning, Israel welcomed the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken for his first trip to the region. The Secretary of State is here to solidify the ceasefire that is in place currently between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The Secretary of State met with Prime Minister Netanyahu in quite a lengthy meeting, and what we do know was discussed and in comments made public to the media. The two spoke about how the United States is absolutely steadfast in its support for Israel's security and for our right to defend ourselves. The Secretary of State reiterated that for President Biden, this is a commitment that is very deep and very, very personal. However, he also said that the United States is committed to the reconstruction of Gaza, and that President Biden will ensure that there are checks put in place to ensure that any aid that is sent for the Gaza Strip goes directly to the people and not into the coffers of Hamas. Prime Minister Netanyahu also reiterated that should Hamas break the ceasefire, we will hit back strongly. Also up for discussion was that the Secretary of State reiterated that the United States will discuss any issues regarding Iran first with Israel before committing to any treaty. And the Prime Minister said that we also need to work to increase the circle of peace and peace in the Middle East. The Secretary of State will now meet with Foreign Minister Gabi Ashkenazi, Defense Minister Gantz, before heading to Ramallah to meet with Palestinian officials, including Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. And from here, he will jet to Amman in Jordan and Cairo in Egypt. In other news, Yaakov Hagoel, he is the chairman of the World Zionist Organization, has written to the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres earlier today, calling for an emergency session of the United Nations General Assembly. The chairman cited that anti-Semitism around the world has risen to an all-time high and is resulting in a lot of violence, and he used examples from London, New York, Los Angeles, and many other places. He also spoke about the dangers of social media and how anti-Semitism is spreading throughout the world. Now, earlier this year, I was very privileged to sit and participate and speak at the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations' first conference on anti-Semitism. And the Secretary of General also addressed our gathering, and we spoke about the importance of having solutions for anti-Semitism. So, United Nations, if you are listening to the Secretary General, you made us a promise. Please make good on the promise before it is too late. And our last story of the day takes us to the Gaza Strip, and the Kerem Shalom crossing, which allows in humanitarian aid, has been partially opened. The crossing was closed for 3 weeks during the fighting and was opened at stages to allow in much needed humanitarian aid. And we cannot forget the infamous incident where Hamas fired on those aid convoys. Well, it is now open, allowing in food, medical supplies, fuel, pharmaceuticals, and other much needed humanitarian aid into the beleaguered Gaza Strip. From tomorrow, the area for fishing will be open and expanded to 6 nautical miles so that Gaza fishermen can get back to the important business of earning a living. Those are your top stories. Don't forget to check out our original content online at our website at www.layoftheland.online. There is a fantastic article by our resident health specialist, Dr. Lionel Phillips. He speaks about how breaking your behaviors or habits can lead to a better life. But don't take my word for it, read it there. It's also on our Facebook page. While you're there, give us a like or a follow where we are at Lottel's site. Share this very brief. Join us on our YouTube channel at the Israel Brief by clicking on the red subscribe button, and join the Twitterati, because that's where we are and we want you there along with us, and you can find us at Lay of the Land 5. So with today's edition of the Israel Brief and those top stories, I'm Rolene Marks, and we'll chat again tomorrow.